Welcome back.
What is it?
Okay. So, fast mode. Castle. Huh. So, 2 days. What do we purchase next? Bailey? I think so. Oh, we still have something under construction in 12 hours, okay. So we have a mission to quest to do, and we should probably leave a person behind, probably like our... Traces lands, okay. Let's see, that drove him to try and self-delude, but that's hogwash. If he has a bit of shame, he loves his homeways. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No visitors. No speak. Patient. No one with actual names.
A simple test. I can do that. That's settled.
Yeah, okay. So. Balding Man's face his upwards pulled upwards slightly by his pointed nose, exposing his upper teeth when he scowled.
What is the meaning of this?
Or followed the commands of the leaders, where would we be? All the years backward and willfully ignorant of this ridiculous.
Indeed. Many lives have been spent in such pursuits, writing treatises and poems. But tell me this, how does one verify the truth of a poem? If some philosopher stumbled across the meaning of our existence, how would we know it from a false one? These are wasted lives. In animancy there is progress. We are measurably closer to complete understanding because of our work, and that will be true until our work is complete. Who will solve Widewen's legacy? Some church? Some warrior? It will be an animancer, or it will be no one at all. You smug cretin. How dare you come? Fine. Speak to them for all the good it'll do you. I'm sure the discussions will be fascinating.
What is it?
So what do we do? Okay. North Ward. Man has the look in his eyes of a haunted man. At the approach, he staggers backward to his far corner. Toward the maimed soul in front of you, merging with it. Its confusion and fear becoming yours as it whisks you into the depths. You're in your cell, a key turns. So, okay, and thoughts come. It's a rotund, balding man. His upper teeth and pointy nose remind you of a rat. He beckons, apologetic. You don't want to go. Anything else? In your mind is a single word, and the word is no, but it dissolves before it reaches your lips. You press against the back wall, cornered. You cry out. In darkness, you fight against unseen restraints. You cannot move your arms or legs. The man walks into the room carrying a lit candle. Its meager flame casting long shadows across books. Machinery straps bind your arms and legs. Cold metal circumscribes the crown of your head and breadth of your chest. The man is sorry. He's in need of raw materials. They dismantled his work and he needs another source. He needs to show them he was right. He thanks you. Then he turns a knob and you feel yourself begin to crack from within. You can feel pieces of you torn away, like having your insides chewed by a horde of rats, and you are screaming. A scream you can barely hear. Continue searching. Another night. Heavy footsteps outside your door, coming for you. You look through a slit in your door. The flesh giant, the artificial being, just outside, but facing left, facing the end of the hall, the boy there. The boy looks with you and edges the giant, then clumps to the floor like a shed snakes, and the giant convulses for a moment, then rights itself, turns away, and leaves. Divvy.
These poor people. This isn't the treatment that they were promised upstairs by the cushioned seats and lush carpets. Is that the cure for soul sickness? To be thrown into a cell and subjected to the whims of your captor?
Still as much another Siphill, let's be on our way. Nor is it my soul. Or scrim. A willow adolescent boy stands at the center of his cell, gawkish and stoop-shouldered. He stares straight ahead, the occasional blank. It is unclear whether he registers your presence at all behind those door-locked eyes. Reach out for his soul. You close your eyes and edge forward toward the boy's soul, and as you near, a sudden malaise comes over you. You are cold and warm all at once, sweating, shivering, and straining for breath, as you did on the caravan journey. The soul you approach is the wrong one, a parasitic plant that strangles its host. It is predatory and pitiless, and you have crossed paths with it before. Too late does it occur to you to retract, and already you feel yourself plunged into some intangible abyss of thought and memory. You are standing in a cell now, the same cell in the sanitarium. The hills are moonlit and empty, and you are waiting. As far at the end of the ward, the door opens, revealing a flesh-colored silhouette beneath the stone archway. It makes its usual rounds, the same stops every time. The misbegotten child of despondent creators. When the construct is closed, you call yourself up and spring forward, passing out of the boy's body as though it were a membrane. You could sense his body behind you, collapsing to the floor, a puppet whose strings are cut. You're rushing toward the golem now. Bodiless as a gust of wind. Quickly, you think to yourself quickly, and you feel the strength hemorrhaging from your soul as you dart towards the makeshift abomination. You pass into the golem's shell and overtake the soul implanted within, enticing it, suppressing it, and combining it. Contained in this new vessel, you are strong again. You step heavy-footed down corridors, unheeded by the other constructs, and on only by the wary, untrustworthy eyes of the mad, coming at last to an office piled with books, scribbled papers, and the preserved implements of enemies. You set your oversized hands upon a large machine, a nest of globes and tubes and coils in the center of the room. Go to work. Many wise and unsettling alignments. Your surroundings are pulled past you, and perhaps you are pulled past them, and they dissolve into a blur. When they settle into place again, you are outside of a clear day, standing in front of a crowd, stacking high above you on the tiered seats of the amphitheater. You are acting for the crowd, standing deliberately still, but this is no play. A balding man with rodent-like features is strapping you to a machine, the one you had tampered with. You see your arms for the first time. Short and fleshy, unmistakably those of a little girl, but this body is not truly yours. Your mind still holds the same determination, the same hard-heartedness as before. The body itself is cold and vacuous. Unlike the others, this one has no soul of its own. The man speaks, and the crowd applauds with enthusiasm worthy of a hero's entrance. Bear witness, he says, and he pulls a lever. The machine shivers and sparks, and a bead of smoke rolls down the side of the man's brow, and the crowd apprehension quickly gives way to awe as the crystal fills with a radiant mist that casts the entire theater aglow. He opens a valve, and the glow crawls through a tube along the length of a copper wiring that runs to an electrode beneath your armpits. You feel nothing when it reaches you, as it should be, for you have been leading his work astray periodically for some time, altering notes and settings and playing puppeteer for Hollowborn. But you make it look how people would expect it to look when a body is infused with a soul. In a moment, the machine goes dark and the man unstraps you, eyeing you with a scientist's concern. He looks up at the crowd. Behold, he says, and there is obvious hesitation in his voice. Slowly, you take a plodding step forward, then another, and another. You look up at the man, giving him the eye contact of which no Hollowborn is capable. The crowd gasps. The man looks relieved. How do you feel? He asks, in a volume meant for the crowd. And this is the moment. At the top of your lungs, you let out a piercing shriek. The man comes towards you, his hands outstretched. You run the other way, back to the machine. With all your strength, you drive your head into the cross-curving shadows. Streaking your head with warm blood, you drive your head down onto the surface of the machine again and again, drawing panic screams from the crowd, and by the time the man reaches you, your body has already ceased proper function and merely twitches on the cold ground. Satisfied, you depart the corpse in search for another unsuspecting host who would put their faith in animacy now. You are pulled again, you're in town, transcending the boundaries of memories in lifetimes, deeper and deeper, past betrayals and murders and lies upon lies that form the thick webbing of plots behind mortal comprehension. You settle at last on a room you've seen before, expansive, with a tall device encasing an Adram monolith at its center. The room is filled with people, and the people all look at the device. You are yanked suddenly back to reality, and the one catatonic boy in the cell is looking directly at you, appraising, calculating. There is no mistaking now that it is the soul of the man who caused your awakening that gazes out from the borrowed husk. A watcher. You made me into a watcher. I need you to undo it. Is that so? He makes no effort to hide his disinterest. When you search your eyes, he makes a slight gaunting noise, and his eyes soften for an instant. And it seems, for that moment, that he recognizes you. He opens his mouth to speak, then seems to think better of what he is about to say. His jaw tightens. I know your look, your hunger for answers that elude you. It gnaws at your soul. It usurps your reason for being. You are like everyone. I'll help you let go. He dodges backward with startling grace, putting himself out of reach. On his face there is no malice, only the dispassion of a farmer putting down a sick animal. Then suddenly he slumps forward. Woo!
Brave Dalfilathilim. Kill them all!
That's it! Beyond seek!
Run back up.
No prisoner!
How may I help?
Actually.
What is it?
Ready, Watcher.
Kill them all!
Ready, Watcher.
Disengage, disengage.
Kill them all!
Watch your back!
Lavaru beyond seek!
Taking all she can!
Kill them all! Well? Yes. No prisoners!
Ulu Sen!
What is it? What is it?
Jesus. Let's level up. Survival. Lore a little bit. And then next. Veterans Recovery, it's a passive. I think that's probably the best. Yeah, Veterans Recovery.
Well? Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves. Brave. No prisoners! Yet kill them all! Of course. Kill them all!
Then I can't let...
Brave Dalfiloth.
Die, you prick.
Brave Dalfiloth, you leave.
Get on!
No! No prisoners!
Get on!
Bring them down! No prisoners!
Destroy all the flesh constructs. Okay. Huh. I knew it was going to be a fight, and we had a bunch of people collapse. Down there, you were given permission to ask questions and had things under control until I killed the leading key spare, at which point he possessed a flesh construct. I've read accounts of people in history who could do what you described. The accounts are few and brief and never reliable. Some go as far as to suggest that they are all the same person. If truly such a person was here among us plotting our ruin, what that I had a body again and could be of some real use in time of need, I fear what the future may hold for this place. I'm grateful you were able to dispatch the threat before there was the loss of innocent life. We very nearly had another scandal on our hands. Such a waste. There was none more gifted working here. In time I had hoped to rehabilitate his image, but a mind like his, so full of ideas, leaves little room for patience. We inquire more into this matter, but in truth you've done this institution a favour. Were his transgressions ever to reach the public, there would be a terrible uproar. I was blind to have trusted him a second time. I trust you'll be more cautious in future inquiries. Okay. Ah.
Hail and well met.
Okay. So an ancient spider spinning her nets throughout the city. And soon the birds are all very ill. She's supposed to be old, older than anyone, and she never leaves her room. Some say she's wasted away. She's a pile of bones kept unabandoned. Okay. Yeah. And then we go to this. We gotta go back. "22 hours, okay. So. Gonna get to my keep and get someone out of my party so we can do that mission. I think. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what to do with that. We have a task and I want to do that task, but how do I go about it? Okay, so if we do
Safe travels.
accept, and then we do this, return in 3 turns. I mean, dismissed from the party, they will return to either the Black Hound Inn in Guild of Vale or to your strongly if you've acquired it. And we enter here. Because we got some security. We're going to arrest at least. I hope. No bonus. Everyone gets to rest. Alright. As he stares uncomfortably still, for all the light in the fire, your eyes can't focus on him. Perhaps it's awakening from his sleep or a trick of the light, but he seems indistinct, blurred around the edges, everything except for the staff. The staff! He seems to be studying its screens. You watched him go inside. Okay, so he's studying the staff. And he's spiral into a dozen separate circles that spiral again until they arrange in a circle of their own. Lost weight, more strangely silent, and then suddenly there is light from a fire rushing the air, a great flash. So I notice you are retractable. We spent time together. And what must you say now? I have a question I wanted to
If
ask you.
doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skidding your knuckles on the wrong door.
I saw something strange. You were sitting up by the fire and I saw a great light from your
Tell
stuff.
me what you saw.
It was a flash like an explosion, a rushing of air, incredibly
It
bright.
is the light of the Godhammer you saw. It was a weapon of Deerwood's people, a symbol of their independence. It saved the Deerwood.
What do you know about it?
It brought the Saints' war to an end, knocked a god from his perch. There are few that would deny Aothis overstepped. The Godhammer reminded Aothis of it. You saw its light because I helped shape it, give it life, and release it into the world. Once seen, its glory is almost too bright to be believed, and too bright to be forgotten. There were 12 of us. We fashioned the weapon, drafted plans for it, prayed for guidance at Ashfall, and it came to me there. Each of us were given a staff made from the forest of black trees around us, glowing with embers and fire far greater than this branch you see now. It felt as if the staff was Margaren's own finger, guiding my hand, guiding the other 11, the shadows of the 12 who would come to stand on the bridge to stop Aothis. Even in that stand, there was a ritual to it. For the 12 that stood on the bridge, there were a dozen shadows cast, a dozen faithful of Margren, her fiercest supporters and shapers of the Godhammer.
The flame atop curls for a moment, the light flaring slightly, it splits into a ring of flames, one after another until a dozen is met.
As 12 held Aothis fast, we 12 unleashed our prayers and let the Godhammer fall.
When it blossoms brightly once and resumes its candle intensity in the aftermath, the shadows seem sharper in the vicinity as if they have edges, and you blink to clear your vision. Durance is still staring, tiny candlelight intently.
Shadows cast by the fire of the Godhammer, perhaps. And we shared their fate as well in time. Now the spine of the Deerwood is marked by the Godhammer, marked by Margaret. Not all deaths come with stilled breath and stilled heart, or other stilled passions beneath the waste. Some deaths come from silence. The connection we once shared with Margren, after the light of the Godhammer, it was not the same. It was as if we'd lost our senses, and sense of purpose as well. Instead of victory being welcomed, there was silence, within and without. Not many can claim to have killed a god. It is less a heroic tale than you would think. And such a death, it changed our faith. All faiths, I expect. Doubt followed, and the world changed. I do not believe Margren was pleased by what we had done. The world is broken, the wheel stilled. There is sickness in the world's heart. Perhaps the price of crossing a god. Crossing two gods. Even as Margren shaped our hands, perhaps we carried her will farther than was allowed. Just as Widewind did. Saint Widewind.
Mortal arrogance to match mortal arrogance. Yet if the world had changed, then I sought to change with it. If I had forgotten some of Margaret's teachings, I would find them again. I would make her see me again. I remembered Margaret's teachings, how reminders on the flesh were more important than the death of a vessel. And I wondered if killing Aethys, if that had simply set him free. Had it allowed him to escape his punishment and be taken on the wheel like a mortal? As I stepped from the now blessed Godhammer Bridge, I thought of Ashfall. I thought of the War of Black Trees, wondered if I needed to be burned to find myself again. That is Margaret at her heart.
Oh.
At least that is my hope. These are the doubts that befall me. The road to Ashfall is long, gives one time to think. And if you think long enough, you do not go home. I left without telling anyone, with only the robes I wore at Halgot, my staff, and my name, which is long buried. Of my fellow 11 craftsmen, disciples, I know not what happened to them, if they suffered the same doubt as I did. But it was underserved. It was wrong. We had done all that Or had asked. Grab victory from defeat and
Do you feel you
there
betrayed?
is something about being used and cast aside. Perhaps Widewen himself felt it. There at the end, when the hammer struck. To be the proof that your god is hollow as the vessel it inhabits. I tried to find purpose, and avoided all contact with other Magranic priests. Did not seek the walls of Ashfall, and sought to make amends to my god through actions. I joined with the Purges for a time, and not long after came the first signs of the Hollowborn. So many crimes, trespasses, violations. The Salvation. Animancers were another sickness born of the Saints' War. A relapse of innovation, of desperation to heal what we had caused. All seemed worse than before the bridge, not better. And as years passed, the world became even worse still for the victory.
Would seem Mega and Solons as your trial.
Worship the whims of some fickle bitch, and you'll never be more than dirt beneath her feet. Worship what she worships, on the other hand. Take her fire for your own, and her esteem comes on its own. Of course, by that time, you no longer need it. Trial and transformation, sure as Durance taught. You think to put the coals to my feet, but what's burned once will never burn again. These talks are your trial, Watcher. You cannot deflect the truth to one who has already been purified by it.
This way we could. More than that, it was the spider drives Milgabit's backbone, also important in the construction of a weapon, any weapon. I suspect Ethos knew that as well, and so did his vassal in its arrogance. He intended to walk upon the bridge as we walking on the backs of dry wood. And we intended to burn him with the light of our faith, and he is 12 on the bridge, 12 in the shadow. We gave ourselves to it. Gave yourselves
We
to it?
put much of ourselves into the Godhammer. Such a device is not simply a machine. There are elements of the spirit in it. Even Widewind's spirit. Each of the 12 who brought the Godhammer forth would have done anything to save the Deerwood, save its people. It is why we were chosen. Each of us hated this pretender. That rage, that spirit, that rebellion went into our work. and went into studying him as well. We all studied Widewin. He was our enemy, and he had provided the flesh the god wore as a cloak. That flesh made him vulnerable. I knew what fields his hands had tilled, his family, what he had harvested, where he had been born. We sought to know him, what had led him to fight us. You don't kill the god, you kill the man it inhabits. And you leave that man a ruin, burn him to ash. The weapon was meant to not only burn his flesh, but it would burn his soul. And it did, at the cost of our own, and at the cost of our goddess's favor. That whore be damned.
Perhaps your eyes were blinded by the Godhammer's light, Watcher. I may feel half a man at times, but even that is twice that of most others.
If you fear for my spirit, your fears are baseless. The Godhammer, seeing its light, only fueled my anger and made me stronger, made me re-examine the teachings of Margren, put them in a new light. I do not need you to cast any more questions on me, Watcher. Nor did I ask you to look upon me without my leave. Get gone, and leave me be. What is it?
Alright. Save. And this will be the end of this episode, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe on small notification to go out today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!